Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Unfiltered Truths. It's a Friday. Happy Friday. Mm. You guys. Oh yes, before we get started, by the way, I wanted to share a story. It seemed funny to me. Hopefully, there's someone who will also enjoy it just as much as I did. So the other day, I was at mom's place and I don't even want to laugh because, man, I just died out. Anyway, I was at mom's place and okay, just taking a walk and I ran into these kids. They must have been about 7 or 6, 6 of them. But I remember there was a very small boy, must have been like 2 years, then a boy that was a bit older, and then the rest were girls. So the older boy tells this girl, and he's like, "Oina nyashe nene," like which translates to you have a big bum, yeah? I first turned and I'm like, okay. Then she retorts to the same and says, Choka katono, atete kanyenya. You guys, I died. Like I couldn't hold myself. I just burst out and laughed. I was like, yo, who even does these things? So the boy is like, gwetomanyi byakwambalo, okwambala obuteteeyi obutini kabeera kanyenya nenze nkalaba nga kanyenya ne mu ngoye ze ezo. My goodness, like it was so funny. They were so young, maybe 5, 6, 7, but I just found it very hilarious. So it hit me and I'm like, I had never used the word nyash until today. Like I'm in circles where people talk about it and they make fun about it and like they use it a lot, but I had never used it until now that I'm speaking of it. Like it was really funny. I found it so funny. Anyway, kids can just be something else, and this generation, I don't know what we are raising. Anyway, now back into the serious stuff, yeah? Before I get into serious stuff, if you're new here, we talk about life. Usually we dive into the messy, awkward, hilarious, and sometimes those heart-wrenching moments of life, yeah? So please consider subscribing, like the video, watch it till the end, leave us some comments, guys. Ooh, we thrive on those things, yeah? So today I'm going to be talking about the exposure effect, yeah? How coming out of our comfort zone could be beneficial to us. Why should we get exposed? And this is a special dedication to one of the members that gave us a comment and requested if we could do something on exposure. So yes, I'm Anyota, and the rest of you all, this is for you. I hope you'll enjoy it just as much as I'm going to enjoy it, yeah? So yes, let's just dive into it. Exposure effect, comfort zone. Who doesn't like their comfort zone, Banangi? I love my comfort zone. But you always hear people saying, life begins at the end of the comfort zone. When you get out of your comfort zone, you're going to enjoy life. Maybe they are right. And I believe so, yes. So, what is exposure? And what is comfort zone? I'm not going to use like very documented things, but I'm just going to speak. And I'm like, I'm going to speak how I do understand. But I know they may cut across and be like the ones that are documented. So, exposure. Exposure. Exposure, I would want to define it as if you are put in a circumstance or in an environment, or you are faced with your fears or anxieties, that is like exposure, and the end goal should help you get out of that fear, become more confident and just be resilient, yeah? For comfort zone, I want to think it's like a mental state. Yeah, like a psychological state where you are at peace, things are easy to control, things feel and look familiar. And yeah, it's very good. It feels good being in that comfort zone. My only challenge I find or face with that is you tend to be limited. You never grow beyond your full. Yeah. Comfort zones are nice, but they ain't good enough. So yes, me and you both, we need to get out of our comfort zone. I remember there was when I had just finished school, I remember trying to I was like, if I finish school and find a job, I don't know, back in the day, I always felt like getting 500,000 and above was like, okay, between 500,000 and I think 800,000 felt like a lot of money to me. Yeah. So I was like, if I can get a job, the minimum I should be paid is like 500, the maximum, okay, more than minimum could be like 800. So I feel like, yeah, if I landed such a job, I'll be very happy. News flash. I didn't even get a job of like 500,000. Not even close to that anyway. So I remember getting this job and I was like, okay, the first job, man, I just worked there for like a month. So I considered myself as a volunteer because I think they give me like 150K or something. Yeah, then I remember I was like, I'm going to look out for this. So I remember like at the beginning that year, because when I finished school, it was I think media. Of course, you're waiting to like get registered, yeah, and get into those stuff, like be licensed so you can be able to work. So like that 1 month, I stayed at that job. So when the year ended, I had now gotten all these tools that I needed to like find the job that I want. But of course, little did I know that the job I want will not give me the money I want. Yeah. So I applied, got the job, got in there. They didn't give me the money I wanted, I think, but it was more than what I was working for, maybe like 300,000. Yes. But then they had like incentives, they would give you transport, they give you insurance, like they give you meals. I felt like, yo, this is good. This is good stuff. Like compared to what I was doing the past month, this was great. Like I felt like I had arrived. Yeah. So I remember staying at that job. I was like, okay, the people I'm interfacing with speak English. For some weird reason, like I love people speak very good English, not English with accents, but like vernacular accents, but proper English. I was like, yeah, people speak English, people smell good, they smell right. But then I was just a child. Really, I wasn't a child, I was young. So yeah, I stayed at the job. In the beginning, it was really interesting and all those things, but then I got bored. I got burnt out, I got fatigued, I was tired, but I was so scared to like leave and get to another job or find another place because I did not know what was out there. Having experienced the other job where I was paid 150K, no insurance, no meals, no nothing, the community was, yeah, I was like, I can't leave this job. So I remember holding on to that job for so long, far too long, more than I should have, by the way. Of course, retrospect is when I'm like, what? Why did I? So I stayed at that job. And then one day, the company decides to like franchise the business to someone else. I think franchise is a word, yeah. Yeah, like they gave us like terminal, like they terminated the contract with us and then led us on to the franchise. Yeah, and now Anywho, you forgive my pronunciation, yeah. So yes, long story short. So yeah, I terminate contract with this guy. So we are onboarded onto the next person that's taking over the name. Yeah. So this new person still was like they're going to maintain the same things we were getting. So I tried to plead and ask to them. I literally actually begged them to like, please just increase my salary, even if by just 200,000. It's from 300K and 500K. They refused. So I remember it came at a point where I was like, okay, the company, the organization was a big organization and now had decided to franchise the business to someone who's an individual. So I was like, now I know the fact is it's not a big organization, it's a smaller person, but just using their own name, yeah. So I remember I had started like a friend of mine introduced me to like a locum gig. So this gig where I worked 2 days was giving me 500,000, the money I wanted. So in my head, I was like, you know what, this way the other guys we close shop with them, and now we are we've been onboarded with a new person. I'm just going to throw in the towel. You guys, I did not know where my next job is going to come. And this gig, meanwhile, was just for a month, like that month, you know? So that month, I was assured of 500K and maybe the 300,000 from this guy. Like if I had completed or if I was to continue, but you'll hear the story. So yeah, I throw in the towel. This one time, I am just like, you know what? With immediate effect, I quit. I quit at the wrong time. One of the admins was giving birth, the other person had left. So basically, there was no one. But I did not want to know because I had reached my ceiling, like my breaking point. And yes, I quit. I didn't know where I was going to get money for rent, for food, and all those things when all this is done. I wasn't assured about this gig, yeah. But it was holding, this little money was holding me back in my comfort zone. So when I quit, 2 weeks later, reality hit me, and I'm like, okay, now this job is ending, and what next? So I remember telling myself, I quit. There should be a plan. Did I have a plan? By the way, no, I didn't have a plan. But it's risky by the way to quit with no plan. But in that case, I didn't have a plan. So these guys here asked me, you used to go to the other place. I'm like, no, I left that place. So fortunately, I think like 2 months, like the gig ended and they gave me another 2 months gig. So I made it 3. So in the 4th month, fortunately, openings came up. I applied and got the job. You guys, I was like, had I still didn't get that job, I wouldn't have seen the things I was seeing here now. Here, the pay rate was like 5 times more than the other one. Now imagine if I'd stayed back. I would have missed on this. I was crying for 500K over 800K, but the money that they were giving me here was even way more than the other one. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, don't feel so comfortable in your comfort zone. Just push the limits and get out. So from my story, I would want to share insights on why we stay so much where we are, why we stay in our daily routines, why we fear to take risks, why we could even think what could be, like why are we in that zone that is very easy to control, familiar. Yeah. So I think some of the reasons, like from my story, fear. Fear is a potent deterrent in this case, and it will really hold you back. Most of the times you are scared of being embarrassed, for starters, and you just don't know what's there, So I was so scared to try and push beyond this job, get out and try other avenues or other places, because I wanted to hold on to what I knew as opposed to what I didn't know that was out there, yeah. But then also the other thing would be fear to like rejection. You just don't want to be rejected. Yeah, you could try out something and it doesn't work out, or it claps back at you, and you just be like, I wish I had just stayed back the other side. But fortunately, I wasn't fully accepted in the beginning because I was doing a locum gig here, and it wasn't mandatory for them to give me a job when opening came up. But I just tried. I risked it. I'm like, you know what? I'll risk with these guys. If they don't give me well and good, if the gig ends, I'll still find out something else. But also, I risked because I knew I had like the skills, I had the expertise. So I was sure that I'm equipped to try, but then to be on their end to either accept me or reject me. So sometimes we do not want rejection, and you would rather stay where you have been, yeah. But then also there's also self-doubt. Like, I know I'm a confident person, but I think I didn't have much belief in myself that I could actually learn something bigger or better than what I was already doing. I guess I just wanted to hold on to the comfort I was getting as opposed to the growth. And I think one of the reasons that actually pushed me out of this job was I'd gone back to school. And then when I came back, I felt like I'm doing the things I'm doing, I've done them. There's nothing new, there's nothing exciting. And I think I felt like I wanted to put my newest academic addition to use. Yeah. So yeah, I eventually started to believe that I can actually push and get somewhere. So I decided to like push out and went and did something. And I'm glad I did, because from the time I pushed out of my comfort zone, I have never looked back. Everything I think of, everything I dream in my career, like I want this, that is exactly that I look for. That's exactly that I look out for, and that's what, and I plan. How do I get there? So, yeah. But also sometimes I think we have some influences, like culture, society, mm, like culture, like there are some culture values whereby you may come from a culture where they are like, you know what, as long as you are stable and secure, you don't have to look anywhere else. Yeah, like someone could be like, okay, for example, you're a medical doctor, right? What are you doing? Trying to be entrepreneur, you know? So the medical profession, like there's an assured job, there's so many clinics, hospitals, health facilities, like there's so like there's so many avenues where you can easily get a job. Yeah, so why would you leave your traditional profession and venture into entrepreneurship? And yet, if you went into entrepreneurship, you could actually hit it big, like live the life. Yeah, like all the things you would have wanted to do, you could do them in a very small span of time, as opposed to staying at the traditional job whereby you're getting very little, and then you are forced to you're going to take a longer time achieving these things that you wanted to achieve prior. But then also sometimes we have like family expectations. They might want you to maybe join business, but then your passion is somewhere else in a traditional profession, or it's in something else completely, you know. So sometimes all those things like contribute to why we stay in our comfort zones, and you're like, not to annoy these guys, not to hit nerves of people. Let me just stay here. And yeah, but of course it robs you of so much, your time, even your brain, like brain work, like the brain you'd have put to use to do various things. You are laid back, you know, you don't even grow, like there's no personal growth. Yeah, so yes, so some of those things can like influence how we choose to stay in our comfort zone. I don't know if any of you has ever felt like you do not want to live where you are. Like you don't want to live where you are, you're comfortable where you are. Or do you even ever feel the need to like break out and do something better? You tell me in the comment section. Anyway, so, but then also there's science. I love to talk about science. Today what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the science of exposure. Yeah, of course in relation to stepping out, because when you are exposed to something, it will propel you, it will prompt you to like get out of those cozy nice daily routines of yours to like see what's beyond your daily routine. Yeah, so you oftentimes when you are exposure will activate the brain rewarding system. Like in the brain we have a rewarding system. Yeah, So if you're exposed to like a new challenge, a new experience, a new environment, or your fears, basically, oh, it's just your anxieties, yeah, it's going to activate that rewarding system in the brain that will lead to production of dopamine. Yeah, dopamine is like a feel-good chemical responsible for motivation, pleasure, reward. So when this dopamine is produced, it's going to reinforce the behavior and to motivate you to like explore more. Yeah, like your body is on a thrill. Yeah, like you are like, okay. For example, I fear dogs. I fear dogs, and I remember back in the day, I would just see a dog at a distance and I'm already taking off. Yeah. So these days, at least I could even bypass it as much as I still have phobia, but I can now be in the same space with a dog. And yeah. So when I started to be like, but what's with these dogs? People even hug them. I mean, they sleep with them at home like pets. So what's with that dog? So I started to like expose myself more to dogs. And yeah, these days I like how I feel that it won't bite me unless if I provoke it, yeah? I still have a small phobia, but I can still bypass the dog. And I'm like, yay, I conquered it this time, yeah? So it gives you that, yeah, feel good feeling. And it will prompt you to like explore more, get out of your comfort zone and like try to reach out in those areas that you've always wanted to venture in. Yeah. So that's one of the things. But then also the other thing is when exposure happens, there's a rewiring of the brain. Like it's, for lack of a better word, I would say the brain will rearrange itself to adapt to the new experience. Yeah. What psychologists usually call neuroplasticity. So that also happens. So at least you know that when that happens, you are going to be able to learn the new experience for starters, but then also adapt to be able to live within that new experience. And then the other thing would be like, how do I say it without being so science? It would be like stress inoculation. Stress inoculation is when your body is exposed to they exposed to a threat, like how we explained last time in our self-care video. When there's a threat, the body perceive like when there's a threat, the body will produce cortisol, which will is responsible for stress. Yeah. If it's too much, like in the other, when there's an overload, it will manifest with negative effects. But in the event that the body is able to manage this stress, it's going to adapt and the body will learn how to manage stressors of this nature. Yeah. So that is what we would call stress inoculation. I hope you've got it. Anyway, so from the science bit of it, that is what would happen. So when there's exposure, you produce a feel-good hormone that will push you to look beyond what you're able to look or where you're able to look, and you will adapt to the new challenge, and then you'll be able to learn how to contain it. But also psychology has some interesting concepts about exposure, and I love to read psychology lately. I enjoy psychology lately because I realized everything we do in life has a science and psychological bit of it. So sometimes if we do understand where these things stem from, we are able to like adjust, improve, but then overall become better beings, like in our mental states. Yeah. So there are these three concepts, this ZPD, zone of proximal development, okay, they were all developed by psychologists, and they are more into learning. But also this learning stems from when you come out of your comfort zone, you are going to be exposed to new ideas or experiences or challenges, and then you're going to learn from them. Yeah. So the psychological bit will help us more in improving our cognitive function, if I could say. So this ZPD theory was developed by some psychologist. I think it's called Lev something. I don't know. But guys, make sure you go and read. Like, it's really good. It's really nice. Like, when you read these things, you're enjoying them. So, yeah, in his concept, he describes it as when you are in your comfort, we have a comfort zone that we're talking about right now. Let's call it like a sweet spot, yeah? So, if you stretched it a little beyond the current abilities, that is when now learning is going to begin. Of course, you stretch it a little, not too far to get overwhelmed, but slightly beyond your current abilities. You'll be able to learn. And I realized, back to my story, had I not left that job and pushed myself to like trust that I can get something else, I couldn't have known that actually I was able to get jobs that are way with better pay, better working conditions. Because I was looking at insurance, lunch, and transport of 5K. I mean, that is what made me suffer from arrivism, yeah. But then I needed to push myself. And I learned like the more you keep pushing, the more the grass is greener. but may not be necessarily in all cases. We shall see how that happens. Yeah. And then so when you push beyond your current abilities, back to the ZPD theory, zone of proximal development theory, yeah. So when you push beyond your current abilities, just slightly, not to feel overwhelmed, you're going to be in a state of like flowiness. You experience life, yeah. And it's a good set to be at. And there's a lot of learning that happens there. Flowiness, yeah. So speaking of flowiness, there's also another psychologist that developed another concept that's called the flow theory. Yes, in the flow theory, this guy, I don't know whether he was a guy or a woman. I think it's called Mihaly or Mahali. I don't know. He's a Russian, I think, or she. Not sure. But you're going to read. Anywho, so Mahali described his theory as, in the flow theory, challenges and skills are like the same, like they're all balanced. So you can't feel your challenges, you can't feel your skills. So in that, you are in a state of complete absorption and engagement of what you're trying to do, yeah? So in that state, you're going to be very flowy. You're actually going to experience the most of those moments while you're in that state. And I think, when we push beyond our comfort zone, like for example, me, when I left the job, I started to rely on the gig. Oh, I forgot to tell you, by the way, before even I applied, I had 2 weeks of no job there. And I had eaten the money from the last month. The money from like the last month, like the month ended, and then they gave me the money. Of course, I had like bills, rent, what, blah, blah, blah. So those 2 weeks I was like broke proper of like negative bank account. But I knew for sure that month I'm going to get money. But to be honest, I didn't know how. So that's when now those guys advertised, and then I applied. But of course, application processes. It's not like they give you the job instantly. There's a process, and then as to when to up to like from application to being shortlisted, interviews and all those things. You know how it all goes, yeah. So had I not, but I was happy. I enjoyed the most by that. I enjoyed myself. I decided to enjoy the calmness of not having to go to work. There is no pressure and all those things. I just decided to enjoy it, and I felt good. But during that time, I also learned, there are things I decided to look into my life and see the things that I was doing previously in my job, why I was bored, what could have led to that, how would I keep myself very active at work, because I know I'm the kind of person who get bored easily. My goodness, I get bored easily. So it helped me at least learn and put down some things moving forward into whatever next job that I ever got there after, yeah. So yes, but then also there's also another concept, the growth mindset. So in the growth mindset theory, I think it was by Carol Dweck's, yeah, she described her theory as not looking at challenges as obstacles. is that the word? Like, okay, looking at challenges as opportunities for growth. Yeah. So even in that time when I was not having even a gig, I knew it was hot. For sure, it was hot because I knew there was no money coming, but I looked at it as a point of growth. And that's when I started to like write down those things, what I should do better, all the feedback I had gathered from the clients, my colleagues, those appraisal things. Like I just used that period to like, okay, sit down, make myself better. What do I learn? What was good criticism? Which criticism was just what? So all those things, yeah. So all those ones, like all these theories will help us to understand that staying in the comfort zone doesn't build us. It just retards our growth, yeah? Personal development. You are able to learn if you step out of that easy zone that you want to control. You are able to be more resilient when something happens. Now I'm not scared of if I lost a job. Of course, it hits you. Yes, that's a truth. That's a fact. It hits you and you feel a certain kind of way and you're like, but I'm not that scared because I know something is going to come from that. Like something still must come. Yeah. And it's not because my line of work, it's easy to find jobs. That is the case, yes. But it's not easy to find a job that aligns with your own goals and your values and all those things. It's not very easy. So, yeah, so there's a lot of learning, relearning, unlearning, and then being confident and adaptability. So, I think all these concepts just point to the fact that stepping out is not all that bad. Expose yourself to those challenges. Expose yourself to those experiences, yeah? Like risk. But in the process of risking, you should know you should differentiate between calculated risks and those reckless risks. Yeah? Like as much as I said, I quit my job. But of course, I couldn't just quit if I didn't have anything completely. Even me there, that would be a very risky move. But I quit because I had a gig. As much as I knew it was short-lived, but at the back of my mind, I was like, within those 2 months, I must have gotten something. And indeed, when the month ended, I was given an extension of 1-2 months. And then of course I just had 2 weeks of sitting of no job. But I knew the fact that I had done interviews, at least I was positive that something good should come out. And indeed something good did come out. But if I did not have anything completely, of course I would have first stayed at my job. Meanwhile, at that job, I stayed like 8 years. 8 years of being a prisoner of my own self. Anyway, yes. But then also, I think the context matters. Like, what is this risk taking? Like, what is it to you? How does it impact you? So we need, as we are trying to step out, we need to know. But then also we should know that sometimes some people are more risk averse than others. And therefore, their confidence levels of like risking and stepping out might be different. Yeah. They could have other contributory factors. Yeah. So how do we step out of this comfort zone? Of course, the obvious one, exposure effects. Like I said, expose yourself to these challenges or your fears or whatever it is that you want to get out from and venture into. Yeah, expose yourself. But it's also prudent for you to know that as much as you're getting onto this exposure, you start slowly. Don't just go and throw on yourself all in there. You'll be overwhelmed. So start slowly, pick up the pace, be consistent, and just gradually roll yourself into complete, absolute exposure. Yeah. And also research shows that exposure is a very good experiment, if I could say that, or it's a good establishment because we, like, for example, if when we look at mental health disorders, particularly the anxiety disorders, social anxiety, panic, yeah, phobias, yeah, those phobia related disorders, you realize that we use it a lot in treatment of those disorders, and it has shown to give very good positive results because in the end the person is continuously but gradually exposed to their fears, and over time they will build resilience, not resistance, resilience. Like they'll be able to like bounce back and be able to cope. Yeah, they'll be more confident because I used to fear dogs so much. Okay, now I can say it. Can I say it? I don't think I fear dogs because I used to run away from them. But then now, I may not have to play with it, but I can at least, we can cross our paths in close proximity as opposed to that distant proximity that we used to have back in the time. So just expose yourself, but then also have like smart goals for smart SMART. Yeah, be strategic. When I was trying to, okay, yeah, I know for a long time I stuck in a job for like 8 years. For a long time I wanted to leave, but then I was sure of where I want to go, but the readily available opportunities were not what I wanted. So when I got the easiest, so this gig was more like my get out plan, yeah. Because when I went to the gig, I loved how it worked. Because I love to work on patients. I was like, if I could go there, while I was there, I knew there were, okay, maybe I didn't say it in the beginning. While I was there, I studied and understood that they were understaffed. So I was willing to do anything possible to make sure that they could retain me, from learning very fast, like learning everything. I don't have to just stick to the medical things I know, even learning other things. If it meant learning data entry, if it meant learning how to enroll a client, if it meant learning customer care, like I needed to learn everything so that you're like, this person is an all-rounder. Because I'm an all-rounder. Actually, for the longest time, people get shocked when they're like, what? You're a medical person? Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I am like that. So me, I was willing. I was very strategic. Like I was very specific, strategic. Beyond. And then still on the SMART goals, they should be measurable, they should be achievable, they should be realistic. Yeah, don't just say I want to do this and maybe what you're doing is not for Sarah is not realistic, but then also reckless. Yeah, but then should have like should be time bound, like have a time frame of when you want to do this, execute it, and get it all done out of the way. But then also the other thing would be, what would it be? We have been exposed, we have set our goals right. I think it's I would want to say like have an accountability person. Yeah, like someone whom you can share with. It could be your community, friends, family, or just your support group that you're like, you know what, guys, this is what I want to do, but I'm still here and I want to get out. So this is like my plan that I'm going to do. Yeah. So those people will constantly check in with you if you're still on the same track, if you are, how far you have moved, and all those things. And I think it's very helpful. And I think overall in life in general, it's good for us to have accountability people. Like, yeah, even if not just stepping out of our comfort zone, but then even the many other aspects, finance, career, all those things. Yeah. Because you could be stuck here in your medical profession, yet you have the tools to be an entrepreneur. It's okay if you want to change career. I know someone who he's an engineer by profession. Yeah. Okay, for starters, he was admitted to like do a medical course, medicine, which he left. But then his parents were like, you need to do something science related. So he did engineering, civil engineering. And then after he was done with a degree and all those things, he got the papers, gave them to the parents, and he's a tax consultant because he has a passion for money and tax. Yeah. And as I speak now, he's been like doing training on job and he enrolled into SCCA. He's now a financial something. So yeah, like step out of that traditional family. For example, me who comes from a science medicine family, you must be a medicine person. If you're not a medicine person, you must be a medicine person. No. I have a friend of mine who actually, not a friend of mine actually, my sister, she was given medicine and she left the medicine and did that choice, the course that she wanted. Still science related, but completely different. Medicine in animals. And she's thriving and she's so happy. So yes, don't feel bad to like step out. Just step out. Your parents will be kawa anyway. They won't even beat you. They won't even beat you, yeah? Even if it's not in terms of career, it could be something else like marriage, yeah? Because I remember one time when I had just finished school and my uncle was like, now that you're done with school, we are kawa with you bringing a man, you get married at your stable and secure. In my mind, I was like, I Rose, why do you think I can only be stable and secure with a man? Not like I belittle men, but why should my life come down from just one thing, a man? Anyway. But I decided to like pursue my career, advance in my career because his worry was you can't overstudy. There is no person who will take you. People love intelligent people. I love intelligent men. So that intelligent man I want will want me with all my overachieving academic credentials. Yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, we were saying just find an accountability partner and then see how you can adjust. But stepping out of your comfort zone is not bad. It's very good. Someone could be like, what if I fail? So what about it if you fail? Failure is actually not the end of everything, yeah? Consider failure as an opportunity to grow. There's so much we learn from our mistakes, yeah? And every time you learn from your mistakes, it's going to make you more confident and you will know that if this happens, I'll be able to overcome this. And you'll never look at failure as something you should freak out or fear, like attach fear to, yeah? So me, I have learned that even if it was in, like for example, I used to struggle with customer care related things, yeah? Even now I still do struggle, but at least I know that my struggles are not coming from fears. Like you would even fear to speak a certain way because you fear someone is going to understand you a certain way. So this I learned, of course, over the years when I did get feedback, and even up to now I still do get feedback. I don't clap back in a bad way, but I do speak back and to a person, of course, politely, and let them know where my intention, where I was coming from, and how I was perceiving it. And eventually, you realize that there's so much you're going to learn from that mistake that you made. Even the other person will also try to understand you where you're coming from, and eventually, we shall all grow. Yeah. So don't look at mistakes as something that stymies you from your growth or from getting out of your comfort zone. Or sometimes you could be like, what if I make a fool of myself? Blah, 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 blah. No, all those things should just make you feel better. Yeah. But the bottom line is, my takeaway here would be is just start small. Everything that we do that we have not been doing ordinarily in our previous states takes time. If you fail today, if you fall today, pick up yourself tomorrow and try again. Yeah. Start slowly, continue, build the momentum until when you eventually come out. To date, I do not, like, as I speak now, I don't think I can ever settle for a certain job with certain work requirements, or if I could say incentives. Like I know there's a threshold of how much I want to be remunerated. There's a threshold of the incentives, the kind of incentives I want. And if the job doesn't have the kind of incentives I want, what other things must they have? Yeah. It's not being picky. It's me understanding that, man, I cannot be comfortable with what you're trying to give me. I should be comfortable with what I want and beyond. Yeah. So, yes, don't feel bad. Go back and ask your boss. Because I remember when I left the other job and got into a new job, it was an insurance firm. And I remember this one time, of course, now I was already old in that job, and my boss was like, we've assigned you a new role. I was excited for the new role, but I was like, does this new role come with extra money, benefits for being, because it was a leadership role? Like I listed down the different things I needed, and he was frank with me. He was like, no, it doesn't come with extra benefits, but the other benefits that okay, it does come with benefits, but not extra monetary benefits. Let me be clear, yeah. But it does come with A, B, C, D. And actually, when he did point out the other benefits that are not monetary that were attached to this job, I realized they were more richer than the actual money that I wanted, yeah. Because when I even left that job, it was these connections that at least I can be like, if I want this, I could reach out to so and so. If I want this, I could reach out to so and so. If I need this, without having to pay for them, but because we were in the same space, I get a benefit for free. I don't slide in my DM for consultation without paying. So yeah, let's get out of our comfort zones. Let's expose ourselves more and more. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know if you have anything for me. So from us to you, expose yourself. Tell us in the comment section, what are your greatest fears? How do you plan to break free? Or do you need someone to help you with that? Actually, I'm very good at being an accountability partner, you guys, because I know how much that has done in my life. And I would offer that for free to anyone who is willing to do the work with me and them. Not just me asking you, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. But we sit down, you draw a plan, and we stick to that plan. And I'll always follow up and check up on you. Yeah. Have a good time. Until then, bye.